Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to Goldbound, the zone-locked challenge where our rogue, Goldylocked, is exploring Azeroth one zone at a time. The rules? Each zone can only be unlocked once we've earned enough gold to purchase a WoW token, and that price is dictated by the market, always changing, and usually out of reach. And this is a solo self-bound journey. No trading and no outside help. We can gather, craft, kill, and vendor within our current zones. But the auction house, that's only for selling what we earned. And last episode, we did it. After over 150 hours locked in Elwynn Forest, we finally hit the mark. We bought a WoW token with gold without ever leaving the zone. And that let us spin the wheel. But what we landed on was Redridge Mountains. An otherwise unassuming zone. No dungeons, no major cities. But these red-tinged mountains are hiding something. So travelers, welcome to Redridge, and let's see what secrets we can dig out of the dust. And while we're soaking in the sights of a brand new zone, let me introduce you to something else worth discovering. Today's sponsor, Displate. Displate makes high-quality metal posters, featuring officially licensed artwork from the worlds you love. I'm talking World of Warcraft, Star Wars, Marvel, Elden Ring, you name it. And with over 2 million designs, there's something to fit your fancy. And these mount safely with magnets, so no tools and no damage. And you can swap them out anytime. They're running a big promo right now, so use the link in my description or code Pathalerix to get up to 37% off. It's a no-brainer upgrade for the gaming room. And if you're heading to San Diego Comic-Con 2025, swing by the Lucasfilms Pavilion, where Displate is teaming up with them for a Star Wars-themed booth. They're dropping exclusive flagship prints, one of which is limited to just 1,000 copies, and only available at the event. So, check out Displate at San Diego Comic-Con, or in the link below, the code Pathalerix to save 25% off one Displate, 32% off 2 to 3 Displates, and a whopping 37% off 4+ Displates. Grab your favorite design, and thanks to Displate for sponsoring today's journey. And so, our journey in Redridge begins. For the first time in over 150 hours, we're somewhere new. And most importantly, new mobs and different loot tables. Now, as we mentioned in the last zone, in the spirit of the new unlock, we have flipped Crummy Time to Cataclysm, which means the mobs here will continue to scale with us. So unlike Elwynn, where Goldylockt could one-shot pretty much any mob in his sleep, here in Redridge, we're actually fighting, and that changes everything. For one, I've had to read my tooltips for the first time in actually quite a while. So, the plan is simple. To start off in Redridge, we're going to run every quest in the zone, front to back, just to get our bearings and scout out the zone. We'll build a little bit of raw capital and pick along a few rares along the way. And of course, we're going to mine every vein and herb every brush that we see along the way. This is Recon, a little change of pace exploration, but with a purpose. It didn't take long for a problem to emerge. You see, back in Elwynn, the mobs stopped scaling at level 30, and so did their drops. Which means now, we're over level 50 wearing a mismatched quilt of old world greens, most of which never scaled beyond level 25. We're missing pieces, we're missing stats, we're missing a little bit of everything. And the Redridge mobs, well, they don't care. This gets worse, because not only are we undergeared and pretty much getting down to 10% health after every mob, the vendors in both Elwynn and Redridge still only sell low-level food, which does literally nothing to our over 50,000 health bar at this point. That kind of stuff barely healed us back when we were level 12. So, for now, we're bruised, we're battered, a little bit undercooked, but that's all part of the challenge. And if there's one thing Goldylockt's good at, it's turning pain into profit. So, while unlocking a few quests and jogging between objectives, we stumbled upon something a little unexpected. Knoll Feaster. This is the first rare of the zone that we encountered. Redridge is home to a few rares. Some of them might be carrying a little loot, and this guy, in particular, has a very tight loot table. Nothing too crazy, nothing too rare, but there's something valuable nestled in there. The Redridge Tarantula Egg. And this is roughly a 90% drop chance, if you can survive the fight. So, let's give it a try. And let me tell you, in our current gear, it was not a guaranteed win. But somehow, through grit and maybe a little panic, we pulled it off. And there it was, on the first kill. Now, this one is sellable, so we can put in the cage and list it. And we're also going to try to get one and slap it in our official Goldylocked pet battle team. Because why not? If it bites, it fights. Alright, so rare down, loot banked, let's get back into the quests. And while questing through here, I'll be honest. My last memory of questing through Redridge, it was in Classic Era, and then Classic Anniversary, and then Classic Hardcore. So, I didn't exactly know what to expect this time around. And right away, a little bit of a disappointment. The black whelps? They're gone, vanished, not a scale in sight. I did have hopes for farming these little guys, but Blizzard had other plans with the Cataclysm. For now, we had a few more pressing problems to face. The gear dilemma. And that's when we stumbled onto a new quest line.
Well met.
I didn't think much of it at first. A few standard go here, stab that kind of quests. But then, it spiraled into a pretty epic quest chain, and before I knew it, Goldylocked was tagging along with a ragtag group of fellow travelers, squaring off against the Stonewatch orcs, and helping them push back the siege at Stonewatch Keep. It was cinematic, it was chaotic, and it was exactly what we needed. Not only did the quests reward up to 20 to 70 gold each, but more importantly, they gave us some scaled gear. Real gear. And suddenly, we weren't just some half-naked rogue in outdated greens, we were holding our own, dodging, striking, and surviving. And just when I thought it was over, one final surprise. John Keyshan's headband, passed down to Goldylocked. I think it's a fitting rite of passage, a signal that the quest line was complete. And that was the last quest of Redridge for us. So after vending off some of the trash, which, by the way, the greens here also scaled the level, and were selling for quite a good penny, we were pretty much a fully outfitted rogue, ready to grind. And with that, over 1,500 gold in the pocket, just from the quest rewards and vendor trash as well. So now, the questing phase is done, and the only thing left is to uncover Redridge's hidden gold farms, and earn another WoW token. The Goldbound grind continues. And with questing out of the way, I wanted to really kick things off in Redridge with something that carried us through Elwynn, Dual Gathering. A bit of a comfort pick to get the lay of the land, and with a few rare kills sprinkled in for good measure. Now, I can't even tell you how many laps I did back in Elwynn. Herbs, ores, rinse and repeat. So, just seeing a new map and plotting a new route, it already feels fresh. And we're not hunting specific rares just yet, that's coming for sure, but if I spotted one while flying around, I'd take it down, a bit of XP, a shot at upgrades, and maybe even some cheeky transmog. As for gathering, we've got some new contenders on the board. Copper ore, it's still around, but now we've got access to tin ore. And, even more excitingly, silver ore. I'm not even sure what we'll process silver into yet, but raw, it's going for nearly 20 gold apiece. And it's rare in the zone, but that's some serious value. And on the herb side, we have some new upgrades too. Earthroot is still in Redridge, but now we have access to Major Oil, Swift Thistle, and Briarthorn. For now, we are sticking to the raw materials, but I've got a feeling we can shake up our Redridge shuffle that will ramp up the gold per hour. So, after our first hour of true farming here in Redridge, here's how it shook out. We pulled in 59 tin ore, and it doesn't have that much of a value at around 2 gold apiece. That's about 120 gold raw. The old reliable, 123 copper ore, still going for just under 4 gold each, so clocking in at 437 gold. And as for the shiny stuff, 15 silver ore. These are rare, but juicy, worth about 277 gold raw in total. So, just from the ore, we're already up to 834 gold, but it doesn't stop there. In the herb basket, we picked 45 Briarthorn, going around 3 gold 60 silver a pop, 162 gold. 81 Earthroot, at about 3 gold each, brings in another 243 gold. Then 25 Major Oil, about 3 gold each, adds another 75 gold to the pack. And 17 Swift Thistle, which is about 50 gold total. Oh, and we snagged a few gems too, including a Moss Agate, that sells for 20 gold by itself. Not bad. So, all in all, between ore, herbs, and a gem or two, the total raw value for the hour landed at 1,437 gold. Not bad for a first pass through Redridge, and something tells me, this is just the warm-up. especially considering that we were also killing rares on these loops, and with our current level, we don't take them down very fast. But even as it stands, with the current NA token prices, this route gives us a stable path out of Redridge in about 163 hours. Which sounds bad, but that's not far off from Elwynn really. And that said, we still even haven't tapped into the greens and transmog yet. And if you've ever farmed in Redridge, you'll know, there are some serious mog pieces hiding in these hills. Now, we didn't pull any lottery ticket rares in the first hour, but the zone loot tables here are actually wild. Some of the greens we picked up are already being equipped, decent upgrades. Even just vendoring the greens that we're not going to sell in the auction house at around 10 to 30 gold vendor value adds another 100 gold per hour baseline to the run. But let's talk about the items that we're actually keeping for the auction house. We've got 3 pieces worth noting already. First up was the Noel War Harness. Region sale average is a bit low, but its market value is 4.1k, and the Noel variant items are a bit of a staple in Redridge, and they tend to collect a pretty coin. Then we got the Shadowhide Scalper. Now this one is a banger. It's a unique appearance, and there's only one listed on the region right now, with a market value of around 67,000 gold. And even the region sale average is hovering around 7k. This is the kind of piece that you just want to hold and wait for the right buyer. And finally, we got the War Paint Gloves. These look like another unique appearance and are just sitting shy of 8,000 gold market value. So yeah, from these 3 transmog drops, we're already building our long-term Redridge war chest. And honestly, these are just the tip of the mountain. Literally, there's more out there. So we'll post them on the auction house and keep it listed. Oh, and as a quick aside, last episode I did mention that I was doing a name change to avoid intentional snipes. And while editing this, I realized TSM fully doxed my new in-game name. So yeah, I'll be doing another name change before this episode goes live, and changing my tooltip settings on TSM. Anyway, with our first hour of Redridge farming complete, brushing right up against the Chromie timescaling levels. And that just means it's time to fight some monsters while we're still on their level. And with that in mind, I made my way north, into a cave that I had earmarked earlier while questing, Render's Rock. It has some tight corridors, a good ore density, and it's crawling with Blackrock orcs. I wanted to give this place an hour-long test run, just to see what would drop, and see how much ore we could pull in. So inside the cave, there's 2 variants of Blackrock orcs, the Blackrock Trackers and the Blackrock Summoners. Now these are just 2 of maybe a dozen different Blackrock mob types in the zone, each with their own little transmog table quirks. More on the others later. There's some big items for sure. But for this cave, we're hunting 2 things in particular. From the trackers, I was after the Blackrock Pauldrons. Albeit a white item, it's still fully transmogable, and it's part of the Blackrock set that's a bit of a staple to the Redridge transmog scene. Now, Trade Skill Master is only listing a 0.05% drop rate, but they are valued at around 5,000 gold market. And from the Summoners, the prize that we're targeting is the Blackrock Boots. Another 0.05% drop rate, but way rarer on the market, with a floating value around 35,000 gold. So, how'd we do? Well, let's just say the first tracker we killed dropped the Pauldrons. No warm-up, no build-up, just boom. Target acquired on pull 1. And then, 16 minutes into our farm, we nailed the boots. No kidding. 2 rare drops in the first 16 minutes. Now, I'll note briefly here that TSM is showing the region sale averages on both, which will often be quite a bit lower than the market value, just from people listing these when they don't know the true value that they can hold. But even if we don't get peak market price, we're still in the green here. And then around the 30-minute mark of the farm, something kind of weird happened. The gold per kill dropped from about 2 gold per kill down to 30 silver, and the loot seemed to start drying up, fewer greens and fewer drops overall. I think this might be the open world loot tables acting a bit weirdly, but in this instance, it almost seemed like they fed us the loot that we wanted right up front, and then pulled it back. After the full hour of farming, we did manage to actually snag a second pair of pauldrons, and we did get a pair of canvas shoes, which I wasn't specifically farming, and despite being grays, these are still transmogable and apparently worth around 5,000 gold. And then in addition to that, we got a few ores from gathering around the mine. 26 tin, 46 copper, and 4 silver ores. That's about 310 gold in raw ore materials. So, you might be wondering, what's the gold per hour? Well, I'm not going to sit here and call this a 50k per hour farm. Realistically, most of this transmog isn't going to move while we're still in Redridge, but if we continue to rack up 10, 20, 30, 40 more transmog items, a few might sell before we even leave the zone. And that gold will start ticking up in the background while we run some more stable gathering loops and other material farms. And hey, the target was the pauldrons and the boots, and in 1 hour, we got both, so we can check this cave off for now. Now, our next stop is a little bit of a throwback. Back in Elwynn, we tried farming Murlocs to no avail, but now we're here for vengeance. And nestled in a forgotten corner of the map, there's 2 very specific Murloc types. And unlike the Murlocs in Elwynn, each of these ones carries a valuable drop. First up, the Murloc Scouts. They may look like a classic Murloc, but that blade, well, it's on their drop table, and it's called the Scimitar of Attune. A sleek curved simi with a reported drop rate of 0.03%. And as some travelers mentioned in the comments, we can download the Wowhead Looter add-on, which means every kill we log here and every piece of loot we get will get uploaded onto the Wowhead database and update the real-time drop rates. And the second target is the Murloc Tidecaller. This one doesn't carry a simi, but has a staff, and that staff is also on the drop table, the Riverside Staff. This one is also reporting a 0.03% drop rate, still a commanding 42,000 gold on the auction house for market value. And we're not AoE farming these guys yet. These mobs will fight back, and we'll continue to gain XP until we get level 70 or 71. And to track it all personally, I'm running Kill Tracker, so we'll have a live tally on how many of each Murloc we've got. No guesses, no estimates. Goldylocked is now officially a data-driven farmer. And after an hour or so of farming, we did hit level 69, and totaled 51 kills on the Scouts, and 41 kills on the Tidecallers. And while we did snag a few lower tier transmog pieces, some greys with a little bit of potential, our white whales of the Scimitar of Attune and the Riverside Staff were nowhere to be seen. So, I guess that's it, right? We pack it up, give up, and log off? Nope, we double down. And while killing these guys mixed in with a few rares, we hit level 70. And with Chromie timescaling in the rear view, we started absolutely one-shotting these Murlocs. I even dusted off and upgraded the old Elwynn boar farming macro, the live to win. Every pull was faster and cleaner, so the Murlocs never stood a chance. And I won't lie to you, compared to the Elwynn Forest, transmog farming through rares only, waiting for 30-minute respawns, this style of farming felt incredible. To have a specific mob with a known, valuable drop, and to be able to target farm it like a machine, pretty awesome. Was it loud? Yeah. Repetitive? Sure. And am I hearing in my sleep? You bet. But was it worth it? Well, after about 700 scout kills and 600 Tidecallers, the loot gods finally relented. Not just one scimitar, and not just one staff, but 2 of each. Our loot here will be updating the drop heads on Wowhead, so we might see that bump up from the 0.03 reported. And the auction house value? It's looking juicy. Another chunk of Redridge transmog loot table checked off. But don't worry, this zone still holds secrets. And I'm not leaving until we bled it dry. With all this good luck and all these juicy transmog drops, the tally ticking upward, surely it can't be all sunshine and rainbows, right? If you've been watching the WoW token market, you already know. Let's just say the price of the chart lately is looking suspiciously like Nvidia stock. Up and to the right. But that's okay. It must be with Mr. Pandaria Classic coming out and the new expansion release. People might be stocking up on these. The grind was never meant to be easy. And we're not here for shortcuts. We're here for gold, glory, and now, data. And, speaking of tokens, the one we farmed to escape Elwynn, it's still in the bags. You see, after last episode, we ran a poll for channel members and fellow travelers, and the vote was clear. Keep them in the bags, and stack them up. No turning them in yet, and no cashing out. So until further notice, that's the play. One bag slot at a time. But real quick, let's do a gear check. Goldylocked is no longer the half-naked rogue scraping for copper in Elwynn. He's looking like a real adventurer now, bandana and all. Shoulders? Check. Boots? Check. Alright. But enough waiting. Let's get to the loot. There we go. Over 130 males. And even just the first 100 is stacked with some serious value. Now, a lot of the recent ones coming through are a handful of the raw mats, the herbs and ores that we got here from our side hustles. Although, to be fair, in this episode, we didn't do much gathering. Most of our time was poured into leveling and transmog hunting. And speaking of transmog, we actually sold both scimitars of Attune, a little sneaky null punisher that we picked up while leveling. But we were a little bit cheekier in the sales here. I listed these at fire sale prices, around 7k. This is just for some early gold injection to the challenge, to get things moving. You know how it is. I can always go back and farm some more. But that wasn't the end of it. We also moved a pair of burnished boots, a leveling drop from the zone, and a few auctions trickled in from the tail end of Elwynn, just clearing up the old stockpile. And the last 30 males was the same thing. The last of our frayed knot farm, and Elwynn is in the rearview mirror now. And Redridge, let's just say this zone is delivering, and we've barely scratched the surface. The farms, they're working, and the data's building, and our bags are getting heavier and bigger. And now for the fun part, the slash played. Yep, not bad. But at least now we have level 70 to show for it.